This episode is brought to you by Indeed. We're driven by the search for better, but when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/SBO. Terms and conditions apply.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon. Sometimes the most painful part of getting sick is the getting better part. Waiting on hold for an appointment, sitting in crowded waiting rooms, standing in line at the pharmacy, that's painful. Amazon One Medical and Amazon Pharmacy remove those painful parts of getting better with things like 24/7 virtual visits and prescriptions delivered to your door. Thanks to Amazon Pharmacy and Amazon One Medical, healthcare just got less painful.
When you see somebody's body just splayed out on the wall above you.
Yeah, that was intense. That actually.
Yeah, it was, because it was gory, but sort of in a beautiful way.
Yeah,
which is very, very weird.
On a less gory note, we also haven't talked about the fact that Tessa Thompson turns into a flower in this film.
Oh yeah.
I got a good laugh out of that.
Hello from me. Hello to you. This is episode 72. Hello film fans. Thanks for listening today. The film we're going to be reviewing is
Annihilation.
And that was, of course, the wonderful Kobe. Our guests today are Harry.
Hello.
And John.
Hello.
Come find us on Twitter at FlixWatcherPod. Visit the website flixwatcher.tv for full listings, and don't forget to subscribe to us on iTunes and leave us an awesome review.
So all films were available on Netflix at the time of recording, guys. Just as a bit of a warning, there is some bad language and there will be spoilers. You have been warned.
Hello and welcome to Flixwatcher podcast. Today our guests are Harry and John from the Beyond the Boxset podcast. If you would like to say hello and tell our lovely listeners a little bit more about it.
Hello. Well, Beyond the Boxset is a podcast where we pitch prequels, sequels and spin-offs to films that don't have any. So, for example, Titanic 2. What would that be like? What was your pitch for that one, John?
I pitched a weird one where Kate Winslet's character starts seeing Leo as the ghost of Leo around, and it's like she starts wondering if it's all in her head or whether it's actually real. So it's kind of a psychological horror kind of vibe, which I'm quite proud of to this day. I think they should make it.
But yeah, so we do films like that, or even a bit more serious films like Three Kings.
Yeah.
So
Is that more serious than the Titanic?
I mean, one is billed as a comedy, one is not.
Okay, bad. But okay, I was just trying to find a reason to get you to talk about how you guys came on our podcast.
Yeah, we came on your podcast and
we did.
we did the Three Kings.
Three Kings to the table.
And we came up with some sequels.
Slightly ropey sequels.
Well, these guys did a better job than
they did. Yeah.
Well, we are
they
professionals.
Did research.
Yeah, they do.
We have been doing it for 70 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a situation where it's just been like, no, there's just no chance of a sequel?
Yep.
Or
when we first started, we started to do about 6 episodes before launching, just so that when we went live, there's a few to choose from. And one of those episodes, I think episode 4 or 5, John, you picked Brokeback Mountain.
I did, yeah.
And I think that beforehand, I'd be turning up to each episode with almost no preparation, and I was just like, I can wing this, it'll be fine. And I got to this one, and I was like, John, I've got nothing. I can't do it. I just absolutely, I can't record this. And so we had to call it off completely. And I had like a 3-week mental breakdown. I was just like, I just can't write about cowboys. What? So we just gave up on that and instead picked The Fifth Element. And somehow that managed to work out fine. And it's not been easy ever since, but
I think you could probably...
That was the only time we missed a recording date, but we hadn't launched yet, so we're fine. Yeah. Since we launched, we've not missed a week.
I think you could probably do the Brokeback Mountain now, though. I think it was a learning curve, I think.
Yeah, I think I could. Although
learning your craft at that point.
Yeah, I do have to say, I am still struggling. Like, tomorrow we're recording Spice World, and I have no idea what I'm doing yet.
It'll all come out in the end, though. Part of the process.
Sequel to Spice World, goddamn.
Well, we're talking about Annihilation. Sorry, that was Harry doing most of the talking. This is John.
Hello.
We're talking about Annihilation, which was your choice, Harry.
Yes, it was.
Can you tell us why you chose it and give us a 2-minute synopsis?
Okay, well, I chose this because I I was essentially just browsing Netflix a couple of weeks ago, saw this and put it on. I'm a big fan of Alex Garland. Have any of you seen one of his previous films, Ex Machina?
Ex Machina is
We've
it's been on
had
this
that on.
here episode.
Yeah, have you seen it, John?
Not yet, no. I know it's something, because we mention it a lot on the podcast, so it is something we should watch at some point as an episode.
You could do it on a podcast, yeah, certainly.
That would be
great for
very
a sequel
good,
as well.
Yeah, sequel.
It's been on the shortlist for a while. Maybe after this Musicians season we're currently running has ended, maybe it's time.
Yeah, and this one, actually, Annihilation would also be quite good. So yeah, I thought I'd give Annihilation a watch, and I was blown away by it, and so I thought I'd bring it here, see what anybody else thinks about it. I don't know why I said blown away, because that's a bit strong.
Yeah, already I was like 5 across the board for you, but by the way you retracted that.
Well, no, I'm just concerned that someone else might have an opposite statement of not liking it, and then I've just said blown away. And,
Defend your opinion.
Yeah, no, wear your heart on your sleeve.
Yeah.
Sure, okay, I was blown away by this movie. It's the best thing I've ever seen.
Good. Fantastic.
Just bear that, you're in London now, so people will beat you down.
So what opinions might fly in Leeds.
Yeah, exactly. In the north, people say hello to each other and, give the nod.
In London, we just push each other down the stairs.
The amount of times I nearly pushed someone into the tube line. Damn fucking way. Sorry.
Whoa.
Aggressive.
Calm down.
Yeah.
Calm down.
Slow walkers.
Yeah.
Tell you what, and then what happens is there's two slow walkers.
Break their toes.
One behind another. And the slightly faster slow walker starts to overtake the slower walker.
Oh, and they take your overtaking space.
Yeah, they take. Oh, and that is. Tell you what, I'm surprised
You should
wars haven't started.
barge through the middle of them.
Yeah, I should do that.
They're just enjoying the view. Life moves pretty quickly. Sometimes you just slow down and enjoy the view. As Ferris Bueller once said.
You
can't. People from Leeds.
Yeah, you
come
can't say
down
that in
here with
London.
your. Yeah.
No, true. Wouldn't last 5 minutes.
Leeds is great. It's nice and relaxed.
So, I really want you to do this. So, can you sum up Annihilation then?
Yeah, 2 minutes.
2 minutes. You've got 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Oh God. So there is. The film opens with like a meteor or something we can't really see, but just something coming and crashing into Earth, and it crashes into the base of a lighthouse. And then I think we pick up like a few weeks later or some time later, and Natalie Portman, does she get enlisted by the army or something?
Well, her husband comes back from the dead.
Yeah.
Oh yes, that's it. Her husband comes back from what she thinks was like a tour, like a few months ago.
Well, he's been missing, presumed dead or something.
Yeah, and so that's a big emotional thing. I didn't actually get that the first time that we saw it. I didn't get that it was him or something.
All right, sure. So the husband is played by Oscar Isaacs, worth mentioning.
Oscar
Isaac, sorry. Yeah.
A lot of people put an S on the end of his name. There isn't one.
Okay, sorry.
What?
I'll stop trying to help. You carry on.
Hey! Yeah, and so then she gets taken to this base where suddenly her scientific knowledge comes in conveniently handy.
Well, I should say Oscar Isaac, his character has a massive kind of aneurysm. Something goes deeply wrong with him. From initially he's missing in action, suddenly he appears from nowhere, and suddenly he's in an ambulance, and then they're taken to the base.
Yeah. Oh yes, and the ambulance gets in a police chase.
Yeah.
That was weird, intense. I liked it.
I should say that if that's the weirdest part of this film.
Yeah.
So there's the shimmer.
Yeah, so this army base is just on the edge of this shimmer thing, which looks like somebody's just poured dish soap into the air. Am I wrong?
No.
That's true. I hope that's what Alex Garland said. Yeah,
so what I'm seeing here, guys, is
You remember, like Fairy Liquid?
Yeah.
Hands did? Yeah, that song.
Can we get the Nat Newman? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we're interrupting your 2 minutes.
Yeah.
30 seconds left.
Oh, and so the shimmer is this place that seems to be expanding that they can't get into. They can't take any sort of readings of. They don't know what's going on inside. They've lost all contact with anybody in there, and the people they've sent in, only one person's returned.
Yeah.
And clearly in some kind of state.
And a time moves differently in there as well.
We don't know that at that point.
Okay.
I don't think, because and so they're going to send a team. They're going to send a team in, which Natalie Portman volunteers to join, and adventures ensue.
Fair enough. So a crack female squad.
All female squad, yeah.
Should we talk about Oscar Isaac in the first place?
Oh,
Sure,
yes,
yeah.
please.
Let's start with the man in this female-led film.
In this female-led film. But the twist is, are you aware of the term fridging? To be fridged.
I did wonder, you just send this in the notes. What is fridging?
Yeah, I was like, I have no idea what you're on about.
So fridging is like typically in like a superhero film, such as most recently like Deadpool, the male character decides to go on the path of destruction because a female character daughter, wife, mother is killed or injured or something like that. So they go out to wreak revenge, and that's their motivation for it.
Oh, I see.
And it came from a storyline where a female character in the comic book was actually put in a fridge, and that was the motivation for, I can't remember which character it was that actually went out and did that. So to be fridged is that kind of scenario, and typically it's the female character that's fridged.
Sure.
In this case, it was Oscar Isaac who was fridged, and that's the reason for Natalie Portman to want to go into the shimmer. And I thought that was an interesting role reversal there, or gender reversal. So Oscar Isaac is he's not even building this, really, is he? I didn't know he was going to be in the story.
I knew he was in it. I was expecting him to be in it a lot more, but I assume presumably because he was filming Star Wars at the same time. I think that was probably why he's slightly less. I mean, he's.
But does a story? What more would he have done? I don't think he would have added more time to it, would he? No.
I mean, his character is not in the rest of it. He's in it obviously at the start to set the scene. But he's great in it. I'll watch anything with him, and obviously he's worked with Alex Garland before.
Yeah, Ex Machina.
He was great in that, by the way.
Yeah. That film is.
That was the bit
fantastic.
where I realised that he was the guy in Drive. Because he pretty much looks the same as the character he's playing in Drive.
Well, it's got the same face.
Same. Okay, big beard. I'm talking about big beard and like very short hair.
Got a beard in Drive.
Yeah,
I think so.
Okay, oh, shit.
Yeah. Whereas in like say Star Wars or something, he's looking much more like he does in this.
Yeah.
And it was weird. I think it was like my second time watching Ex Machina or something. I suddenly realised that the guy in Drive is the same actor as the guy in Star Wars. I thought they were two completely different actors. It was really weird.
Oscar Isaacs and Isaac Oscar, maybe.
Yeah.
So Natalie Portman's character, she is a super brainy ex-army scientist, biologist. But she decides to go into the shimmer to try and see if she can help Oscar get better and find out what happens, and then bring that back out into the world to help her husband, basically. I mean, what do you kind of make of that kind of storyline, the fridging aspect and going into the shimmer?
I think it's kind of, as you said, it's a nice reversal, because so much you see that where it is the woman is fridged for the man. And I did appreciate the fact that this was a film with basically 4 female leads. Like all of the 4 army people are women. So you've got Natalie Portman, you have Tessa Thompson, Jennifer Jason Leigh, who I always enjoy seeing, and Gina Rodriguez was it the 4th one from what's that film? What's that sitcom she's in at the moment? I forget.
I don't know.
She's
first time
famous.
I've seen her.
She's in a hit sitcom. I can't remember what it's called now. Something Virgin. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But yeah, I appreciated the fact that it had like 4 women in roles that they weren't necessarily written as women. Like they were obviously, but they didn't.
It could be.
They were totally just competent professional, scientists / military, and their gender was just not an issue in the film at all. But it did subtly inform it, I think, in the way that they communicated with each other. I think like the way the dialogue was, etc., and their relationships was maybe a little different than if it was 4 males, but it wasn't really beaten over the head. It was just it wasn't like making a big thing about that. So,
yeah, because I thought it was quite interesting how. Does anyone know about the production story with this? Was it were the characters always assigned as women at the start, or was it did it change?
Based on a book, but only very loosely. I think he sort of said that instead of rereading it, he just decided to kind of take a few key ideas and just completely do differently. So I don't know if originally in the book they were all women or not.
Okay. So there's one point where Natalie Portman's character, there's like a big crocodile that comes out, and the 3 other ladies were kind of running scared or didn't know what to do, and she just kneels down with a rifle, bang, 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 takes it out. Just competent, like you say, competent professionals. She was ex-army, she just knew exactly what to do, and that's the kind of thing where, okay, if we're gonna have one male character, it's gonna be that one, and that's the one that's gonna be that character that manages to take things down.
Did anybody else really notice at that point how when you don't show something, it's really scary?
Yeah.
And then as soon as you show it, like as soon as you see the alligator come out, like, oh, that's just
nonsense.
It's just an alligator. It's not that scary. Like, yeah, it's still scary. Like, it's dangerous and that, but it's not that scary anymore.
Or was it an alligator?
Well, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Mutated alligator, I'm assuming.
Highly mutated.
I felt they could have played on the suspense a lot longer than they actually did, because they could have stretched that out a lot more and kind of built, because they built the tension quite quickly. And then you kind of have like that moment, and then it's like, oh, well, it is the alligator, but they could have not shown it, and that would have meant the next time it would have been even more suspenseful, because you still don't know what's going on. Whereas by the time they'd got that, you were like, oh, okay, so that's these animals are kind of mutated versions.
Yeah,
which
but
was,
I guess they needed to explain that because of then the what happens later, which is so tense. What did you guys think of that scene with the bear?
Oh, man bear pig.
Yeah, but
well, they named him Homerton. Because they were sort of talking about bears, and Paddington Bear is obviously cute and named after Paddington Station, so they decided
It's
to
named after Homerton Station.
yeah, so they named it after Homerton.
Do you think they just went down a list? King's Cross, no. Euston, no. That's a good name, bro. It's just probably
Liverpool Street.
Yeah, Old Street Bear.
No, but that scene was great because it's not something I've ever seen before. Like, and it was so disturbing.
Was the bear scene or the
best? Well, the scene.
Oh, sorry,
where,
hold on. There's two bear scenes. Which
Yeah.
one? Which
So
one?
there's the first one, I guess, where just somebody gets taken away by some mysterious animal, and you just see their dead, mutilated body at one point. That's it, and then I guess it's 24 hours later. I think it is
Next
when
day.
they've all been tied. They've all been knocked out and then tied up by
Gina Rodriguez's character.
yeah, and which is scary enough in itself. But then suddenly you hear a cry outside, and she goes out to see that. She goes out to look for the lost person that she thinks Natalie Portman has killed, and then it's this terrifying bear, and they're just all tied down to chairs and they can't move.
And the bear has the voice or the scream of agony of the woman it killed, which is so disturbing and so creative. I've never seen anything like that before.
No,
so.
you're right, incredibly creative.
Yeah.
That's just what I expect from Alex Garland. It's just,
That was my standout scene of the film, I think. That scene.
I think it is the standout scene of the film, but just also terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
So I watched it with my housemate, and she has been terrified of that for weeks.
Really?
I've just been tormenting her. It's been so much fun.
What, were you just doing the scream? That's what I do.
Doing the scream a little bit, sending her photos of that bear, like in the middle of the night. It's been good. She's moving out
with the caption "Night Night."
She's moving out at the end of the month.
I wasn't that convinced by the CGI on that bear when it's kind of up close. I think
Really?
I think and this is going to kind of allude to the small screen score. I think if I had seen this on the bigger screen, I would have been less convinced by the CGI.
I have to agree. I found some of it looked a little bit like video game cutscene standard. Like I expected a little bit better from a film that is like for the cinema. It wasn't written. This film came out, I think, only on Netflix. We'll talk about that later, I think. But it was certainly written and produced for the big screen. And I did think there were certain scenes I was like, considering Ex Machina was so successful, I would have expected a higher standard of CGI for the film in general. I don't know why that didn't happen, but yeah.
And we don't know how the production costs or anything. I don't know. I'm looking at Helen as if you know these things.
Are you Google?
But I thought like yourself with the alligator. I think if it waited at least one more scene before then you then saw it, I don't think it would have taken anything. I would have added to the suspension because I was disappointed that suddenly Tessa Thompson's character was pulled into that hut, dragged around by something we didn't see, and then 30 seconds later the thing that dragged her into the hut was coming out, and then it was dead.
Yeah.
It was like the pacing probably could have been a bit nicer. I mean, that's the whole thing about Jaws, right? Is you don't see the fucking shark for most of the film. But yeah, that's my point there.
I mean, we haven't really sort of said overall. What did you sort of think overall? So we kind of picked out on bits.
Overall, I thought more than passable. Not as good as I hoped it was going to be, and I loved a lot of things they did. I loved the fact that it's all female-led characters, and they were just there because that was their role.
Yeah, it felt like a refreshing change.
Yeah, and I just think that's how it should be, like, because that's what happens in life. It doesn't matter what race you are, gender you are, sexuality, what football team you support. Just like
that matters.
It's just like these are people here, and they're there to do the job, and I think these are what people look like shouldn't really play a part in it. So when you turn things on its head like that, and that's why I raised the point about the fridging thing. It's an interesting point that it's changed, but also it's an interesting point that it always seems to be the female character that gets fridged, and it just doesn't need to be that way. But yeah, generally I thought it was good, but not as I didn't have the bite that I wanted it to have at the crunch.
I felt it did, and I actually disagree with your comments on the CGI.
Okay.
I thought that the film was beautiful. It's the the thing that might look like might look like bad CGI is the fact that none of it looks realistic, because it's not.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you use CGI to make something up that just doesn't look like something from the real world, there's no way that you can actually make it look realistic, because it's just not. So
yeah, because I guess the whole thing of this film is that the world that they're in the shimmer has become warped. So actually, yeah, I think that is a good point. What we might look at and be like, well, that doesn't look like what an alligator looks like. It looks a bit cartoony.
Exactly.
But actually, that's probably a very conscious choice. Actually,
yeah. Like also, if you look at was it a reindeer?
Yeah, the deer with a bit when I was like, oh, this really looks like Final Fantasy now. But
exactly. Yeah, it really did. You're right. And I agree with your comments. That looks like a video game cutscene.
Yeah.
But. Well, yeah, it does, and that's not a bad thing, because some video game cutscenes look amazing.
Yeah.
And this one I do also think looked amazing, especially that deer, which was still colourful and weird, and then just like duplicated or something and ran off.
I still think though it could have. I mean, we've seen Jurassic Park here. If that was,
well, that's because like in our minds we know what a dinosaur looks like.
No, but that alligator didn't look that different. It just looked like a big alligator until she opened the mouth out and said it's got different sets of teeth in it. But I think it didn't look like it had the weight and heft of like a real kind of thing.
Okay, sure. Maybe I need to watch it again.
Well, no, not necessarily. But when I'm not trying to obviously go against your point of view, but that was the kind of thing I was taking away. And when the deer ran off, they obviously still are based on antelope or deer or things like that. So we know how they move. We know how they have that kind of feeling and essence of movement. But it just didn't feel that right to me. Perhaps in the same way that, like the earlier Spider-Man films, it didn't look to me like Peter Parker there was a human character whilst they're swinging around. And that's only something that's been resolved for me in the latter Avengers, where I feel there's actually a bit more weight to the character. But I think that's me being quite picky.
Yeah, I really liked it. I thought it was it felt to me like a feature-length Black Mirror episode in places.
It really did. Well, that's Ex Machina's the same.
Yeah, it definitely had that kind of vibe of like creating this kind of sci-fi what-if scenario and then just following it through. I sometimes I struggle with Natalie Portman as an actress, because I think she's a very good actress, but sometimes she's guilty of what I kind of call capital letters acting, where she's always like acting, like she's always doing something very like methodical, and you can kind of see the cogs wearing. And sometimes it really works, like in Black Mirror, if you put it in a really heightened scenario. But sometimes it's just a bit distracting. She's almost hammy in places sometimes. This film, I thought, actually, she was really good, because she was playing quite a straightforward character. She wasn't really making a lot of choices. Like there was no crazy accent work. There wasn't really. It was just her playing a very strong, stoic character, and actually she pulled it off really, really well. And as I said, I really like Jennifer Jason Leigh. She didn't get loads to do in this, but I thought she had her character was kind of one of the most interesting characters, because you didn't really know what her motivation was particularly. She's like the one who's leading the team, obviously. And so she had that kind of enigmatic quality that I really liked, and that strength as well that she always portrays really well. And Tessa Thompson, we mentioned, is in a lot of really good things right now, is great. And she's been in a Black Mirror episode, hasn't she, I believe?
No, you're probably thinking of Gugu and Battle Raw. From
was Tessa Thompson not in the one where where she's killed the child and then she has to relive? Was that not Tessa Thompson?
She killed a child, and what happened? Sorry?
It's an earlier one.
White Bear.
White Bear. Was she not in White Bear?
No, that's not White. That's
not Tessa Thompson.
Lenora Critchlow.
Oh, sorry, I'm just mixing all these people. I had to apologise. Okay.
These people.
Oh God. That's even. Oh no.
Oh John.
Well, I'm just.
Lenora Critchlow.
Hand me a shovel. I'll keep digging.
Is a British actress. She was most famous from Sugar Rush.
Yes. Okay.
Tessa Thompson's American. Tessa Thompson's only recently come to quite prominence, but she's awesome in everything I've seen.
Yeah. What do I know Tessa Thompson from then?
She was in Creed.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Thor Ragnarok.
Thor Ragnarok.
Yes.
Yeah. You've not seen that.
I've not seen Ragnarok. No, but I've definitely seen her in other things.
She's in Westworld.
That's it. She's in Westworld. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's some good.
Okay. Cool. Well, apart from my accidental racism, there, I can't apologise enough.
Hey John, do you know who else is in this film?
Who?
Benedict Wong.
Yes, he is.
Benedict Wong.
He is.
Yeah.
The Wong.
Yes.
Why did I say that? It's terrible.
We've been having a bit of a weird thing with Benedict Wong recently, because
You mixed him up with BD Wong.
yes.
Okay.
Great.
I can't believe it.
What? It's an easy mix-up. Their names are so similar.
Start with a B, end up in the Wong.
But like BD, it's not far off from Benedict,
Okay.
and then it's Benedict Wong. And what's also
Yeah, it makes
interesting is then in his character in Doctor Strange is just called Wong,
Yeah.
so same name. And then the other character in Doctor Strange is Benedict Cumberbatch. There's a lot of name similarities with Benedict Wong. And so
Do you mix up Ice-T and Ice Cube?
It's been known.
Where would you get that from?
Call back to a different episode, guys, of a different podcast.
Yeah.
I can understand that BD Wong and Benedict Wong got mixed up. Benedict Wong, I love him because he's from Manchester.
Oh, yeah.
How is he?
Yeah.
Oh.
The true North guys.
Hey.
But Benedict, it's great to see Benedict whenever you see him.
Get him right.
Get
The
him
right.
right.
Don't get it wrong.
So when you see Jurassic World and those films, you know which Wong it is now.
BD.
Yeah. But Benedict's good. He's a good guy. He doesn't do much in this film, does he?
No, it's quite small parts.
He's
for the
in
male characters.
he's in Sunshine as well. So I guess he's a Alex Garland, because Alex Garland wrote Sunshine. He didn't direct it, but he wrote it. So I guess there's a bit of a through line there. So he plays the officer in that film as well. So.
That must be one of his earlier films then.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Because the first time I saw him was in an episode about the IT Crowd.
Was he in the IT Crowd?
Yeah.
Who was he? What was he doing?
It did. It was like Streets Countdown.
Oh man, Street Countdown.
Oh, so it was something.
Yeah,
like
no,
that.
I remember him now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he just
What a show.
Benedict Wong in this is kind of the framing device. He kind of sets up the whole story through which Natalie Portman can tell why she was there and what she's the narrator, but she's narrating to Benedict.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't actually need to be there, really, did he?
He's been in a lot of sci-fi.
Yeah.
What have we got?
Well, he was in Sunshine, so that's a sci-fi, and then he was also in Moon.
Was he in Moon?
Yeah,
Sunshine and Moon. Well done.
and then also
Being Boogie.
Prometheus. He was in that.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, forget that one. And The Martian as well, and obviously Doctor Strange. So he's got that sort of sci-fi face, hasn't he? Works very well in science
Works
fiction.
very well in sci-fi. He's also in that. Does he play Genghis Khan in something on Netflix at the moment?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know about that one.
What?
But yeah, Benedict Wong's in it.
Right. That's
Great,
the
that's it.
moral of that story.
Anything else you want to say before going into the scores?
Well, I just want to say that I really enjoyed
Sure.
it. I bought into everything about this. It did kind of remind me of films like Solaris, Sunshine, The Thing, and Under the Skin as well, which are all films that I really, really liked. And we've not even kind of touched on what they kind of happens when they actually get to the lighthouse or when
Yeah, I
they
was
get
about to
near
say,
the...
can we jump to the end and
Of course, can.
Yeah, and I
what happens?
Yeah, I mean, I really like that it doesn't really offer any answers or explanations, and it doesn't kind of give you anything, and you can kind of left there to think about it yourself. And I like that. I like its ambition, and I like the fact that it doesn't quite succeed in it as well. So I was completely sold on it, and really love the casting, really love the acting. I'm with Harry on kind of like the CGI. It did kind of look odd and weird, but then they're in this really odd and weird place, so why wouldn't it be odd and weird? And and the ending as well. I mean, what's going on there?
So what was it about the ending that you are uncertain about?
What? Who's who?
Well, yeah. So it ends where there's a reveal that they've done a big switcheroo,
Yeah.
and Natalie Portman is now this thing. It's not the original human that went into the shimmer. It's something else,
Okay.
like an alien or something. We don't really know. But how did that switcheroo happen? And
Yeah.
also that scene sort of leading up to that whole thing was really interesting. Do you not think?
Do they have
But the
that
thing-
kind
the
of
thing sort
dance?
mirroring her sort of.
Yeah, I love that scene.
And the music as well, from kind of when they kind of get to the lighthouse, all of the music around that is really good.
Just everything was so creepy and weird.
So are we 100%? It was the alien that comes out. Is that what
Well,
you?
we're not 100.
Okay.
This is it.
No,
I mean, it
no,
could be.
100% on that, because like her eyes shimmer, like as she then hugs Oscar Isaac at the end, like both their eyes like change color or something. I don't know.
But I didn't necessarily take that to mean that it was just the switcheroo. It could have been. I think they'd left it ambiguous. I thought maybe she'd just been somehow changed by her time there, as had he.
Yeah.
And, it leaves that very open.
Well, you see, obviously she tests her own blood, so she knows that she's absorbing the DNA from the other things around her. So I think it's not that clear, but
But this is one of the things that I like about it, is that we were all like, well, we could have this.
Yeah.
And it doesn't offer any kind of definite answer, and you can kind of take it how you want.
So the Oscar Isaac that she hugs at the end, what's your thoughts on him?
Well, she asks him, doesn't she? She says, "Is it the same you?" And he says, "I don't think so."
Yeah.
So it really is very ambiguous. Like it doesn't feel like they're in cahoots. It's like, oh, we've switched the two humans with the two aliens. It feels like, yeah, they've both been changed in some kind of primal, like at the cellular level, which is what happens in the film. So yeah, I feel like it's just, yeah, I think it's just very ambiguous and enjoyably so. I appreciate the fact that there's no answer to that. It's, you know, it felt very Black Mirror with this very open-ended kind of finish, this haunting final shot.
Cool. Maybe I need to watch it again.
Maybe we all do.
Maybe it's going to score high on rewatchability.
Yeah. It was quite gory in places.
It did have, yeah.
Yes, it was. But
the cutting open of the guy's chest to see what's inside.
that bit. I really like that bit. That's kind of alien thingy, and there's a lot of like the thing that is in this film as well. Kind of the questioning of madness and double crossing.
A lot of the visuals of it, like when you see somebody's body just splayed out on the wall above you.
Yeah, that was intense. That actually.
Yeah, it was, because it was gory, but sort of in a beautiful way.
Yeah.
Which is very, very weird.
On a less gory note, we also haven't talked about the fact that Tessa Thompson turns into a flower in this film.
Oh yeah.
I got a good laugh out of that.
It's really beautiful though.
It is a lovely, lovely scene, yeah.
That bit kind of took me out of it a bit because it seemed that it was on her own terms that she. Yeah. It seemed that everyone else was holding it together somehow, and she just went, "Fuck it, I'm going to turn into the flower."
Well, maybe there's like some sort of an instinctual thing happening
possibly.
at that point.
Yeah.
But I was confused because I thought that they'd set it up that these plants that are growing in the shape of humans, that it was human DNA has gone into the plants and told it what shape to grow into. I didn't take it as humans are actually just turning into plants.
I think it's just the absorption of DNA, almost like an osmosis, going in and out at the same kind of time. So you're giving away your DNA, you're absorbing more in, and it's just kind of what's the most kind of close to you and the influence to you at the time.
I do think all of these things that we've been debating, I think this definitely does speak to the kind of writer that Alex Garland is, because admittedly I've not seen Ex Machina, so it might not be true of that, but he did write Sunshine, and I felt Sunshine was similar. It was a film that had a lot of really interesting ideas that were really thought-provoking, but it didn't necessarily follow through and answer them all. In some ways to the good, and in some ways as a bit of a weakness. I'm not a big fan of the last act of Sunshine at all. I think
it forgets what kind of movie it's.
Exactly.
It's like, am I a horror film? Am I a science fiction film?
Yeah.
Am I a psychological thriller? And that's the only problem with that. But
I'm still yet to see Sunshine.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Very, very good.
So Sunshine and The Thing are two on my list that.
That's what you're doing tonight, then, isn't it?
Tonight I am. Having to watch The Wire. What a shame.
But I'm a massive fan of Alex Garland. So he also did the screenplay for The Beach as well, and he also wrote 28 Days Later. So he's
got a good repertoire.
Yeah. So I basically
works well with Danny Boyle, which is a good thing.
I will watch pretty much anything that he puts his.
Yeah, but I think these answers, these definitive answers we're looking for, I don't think even he would know what they are, and I think that's very conscious. So yeah,
but I think less and less though more and more people accept that there doesn't have to be an answer in things, and that's quite opening, and that doesn't have to be a defining through line. It doesn't have to be a defining arc that's so strong in these things nowadays, and that's kind of freeing in a way. The first time I watched Donnie Darko, I just left it thinking, wow, what happened there? And I had spent so much time thinking about that film afterwards, and that really was almost enlightening in a way. So I really do appreciate it when the film does do that. And
I really disliked. I love Donnie Darko. It was one of my early favorite films, but I really disliked the director's cut that came out afterwards because it over explains.
I haven't seen that, and a lot of people said
it takes so much away from it. All the time travel stuff that's just touched on in the original film, and it's kind of left to your own interpretation. It literally explains every single bit, and there's so much exposition, and it just ruins it for me. It just takes all the mystery and the magic out of the film. And I feel like if this film had answered all the questions that we're asking about why is she turning into a flower and what's actually happened, who is Natalie Portman at the end, then it wouldn't have had as much impact as when it just leaves you hanging with this sense of the complete unknown. So
it's like when they're making Groundhog Day. They spent a lot of time trying to work out what's going on in this time loop, why he's in it, and then they kind of realised that if there wasn't an explanation that made sense, then that would just detract from the rest of the point of the film. So yeah, just science or supernatural shit. You don't need to know. Punk's attorney. That's what's happening.
What a quote that was. Science or supernatural shit, we don't need to know.
That's M. Night Shyamalan's guide to writing.
Right, let's go on to the scores, I reckon.
Yeah.
So this is the spreadsheet of dreams, otherwise known as our score system.
Yeah.
They're all out of 5, and you can go to a decimal place if you wish.
Yes, as many decimal places as you wish.
Can do. And should we say you can have a 0, although I'd be sad if we gave out any zeros for this film. And we will start with you, Harry, because it's your choice. So the
Sergeant and Mr. Smith, you're gonna love this house.
Bunk beds in a closet?
There's no field manual for finding the right home. But when you do, USAA Homeowners Insurance can help protect it the right way. Restrictions apply.
recommendability score.
I'm going to give this a 4.75. That missing 0.25 is just because some scenes are just too scary for some people. Like
Ooh, such as what? I don't think we touched on anything that was too scary. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, well, children, I wouldn't recommend it to anyone under the age of about, I don't know, 14 maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
You could mentally scar a lot of people with this film.
Well, it sounds like you have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've literally driven a girl from her home.
I should know. I've been there. I've done that. Yeah. Okay. John.
Yeah, I would give this a 4.5. I think again, the 0.5 I'd take away because I think this is a very interesting quality film, really thought-provoking. The 0.5 is just for the fact that not everyone is particularly into this kind of sci-fi film. And yeah, in addition to the fact that some people might find elements upsetting, which I don't particularly care about, but some people just don't, not this kind of film is not for everyone. Not everyone likes this kind of very open-ended sci-fi film. But if you do like this kind of genre, if you like Ex Machina, if you liked Sunshine, if you just like sci-fi in general and intelligent sci-fi in particular, you should definitely watch this. You'll find a lot to enjoy about it. So, yeah.
I really, really like this film, and I think it should be seen by everyone, regardless of whether they're going to enjoy it or not. Because why not? And also,
because I don't know. Because in the same way, if someone brings a film to the table and it's 2.5 hours long, and you're not going to enjoy it, then it's not a nice thing to do.
No, not just because of the length. But the thing is, if someone brings a film to the table, I'm still going to watch it.
That's because you're bound to contractually.
Well, this is it, yeah. But no, I really enjoyed it, and I just think it's just got so much going on and a lot to offer, and the fact that it is kind of an all-female cast as well, I think is really important, and they're not all white either is really important, and it doesn't kind of make a thing of it going, we're all women. It's kind of done in a natural way is really important for filmmaking. Yeah. So I'm going to give it a 5 because I really like it. I really like it.
I'm going to give it 4.15.
What?
Wow.
Sorry, do explain.
Because I just know more people who would take against it than be up for it. Mm-hmm. And I do, like I said, myself and Helen, I guess we rate differently. And if I have to add caveats to a recommendation, then it's not an out-and-out recommendation. Mm-hmm. So, and if I recommend this to people, it would be with caveats, and it would be to people. There'd be certain people I definitely wouldn't even bother trying to explain what the film is about. So that's why there's some taken away from it.
Yeah,
I'm just a bit more rock and roll.
That's the definition. 4.15. Repeat viewing score. Harry.
5.
How many times have you watched it?
Once.
And what is your most watched film?
My most watched film?
Yeah.
That's a tough one. I think it might be Iron Man.
Oh, okay.
Because Iron Man is my favourite film.
And would that be a repeat viewing score of 5 as well?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
This film, Annihilation, I'm really looking forward to watching again. Cool. And I think I'm hoping it's a film that I'm going to get more and more out of it every time I watch it. Similar to The Dark Knight. Always learn something more when you watch it.
Cool.
I'm going to give it a 4.5 because actually Harry's taught me around on this one because when you were talking about the CGI that I found a little bit problematic, a little bit weak, and then you kind of really explained really interestingly about why that is what it is and why it actually makes sense. But I think because I didn't know that, obviously when you're watching it the first time, you don't know what's happening until very close to the end. So when you do see that CGI deer, you're like, oh, that doesn't look like a real deer. Yeah. But yeah, I think I'm actually really looking forward to rewatching it too, to actually appreciate more the ways it does play around with perception and reality without having that critical eye that's always looking out, that just can't resist always looking out for flaws in CGI. And actually this is a choice, and what is that choice giving us? And also with the way the film is in general, because with the open ending and everything, and all the way it ends up, because it takes a long time for you to get into the film before you really know what's happening. It is very ambiguous. So to watch it again, I'd be fascinated to see how much you pick up on earlier, how many hints it drops, and whether it makes the story as a whole easier to understand on second viewing. So yeah, I think this will really reward multiple viewings. So yeah, 4.5.
And your most watched film?
My most watched film of all time is Muriel's Wedding, which is also my favourite film of all time. And I adore that film.
How many times do you think you've seen it?
Upwards of 50, conservatively.
I've probably seen it about 4 times.
Yeah. If it's ever on TV, I have to watch it, and I'll watch it for pleasure multiple times per year.
I'm blanking on the main actress's name.
Toni Collette.
Yeah, she's got a new film at the moment.
Hereditary. It looks fabulous. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Looks scary for me.
It does look scary.
Helen,
Fabulous.
Repeat viewing score.
So I've seen this twice because I saw it when it premiered on Netflix because I couldn't wait any longer to see it.
Because no one was suggesting it for this here podcast.
So thanks for picking it finally.
Yay. I saved the day.
And then I watched it the other day. I'm not sure whether enough time had elapsed. I would have liked to maybe a little bit longer to have elapsed, but it definitely is. It's a completely different experience watching it the second time round, but really rewarding as well. So I felt the first time round, I was just kind of so like wowed by everything, and you kind of really don't know what's going on and how it's going to go. And then when you can remember roughly what happens and when, you can just kind of get lost in things a little bit more and really just kind of like focus in, like when they're looking at all the flowers, you know that nothing crazy is going to happen next, so you can kind of look and explore. And I don't know, it's I think and then again, I think when I watch it again, I'm probably going to have a different experience with it, just because it's such an interesting film, and you can also focus a little bit more on each character and think about why they've chosen that mission based on their kind of background, and then that's kind of affects how they meet their demise in the Shimmer as well, based on, you know, their personal stories and things. So that's really interesting. So I don't know how I'm going to put that in a score. 4, I think, for that one. Repeat viewing, that was what it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Seeing as you've asked both of us, can I ask what's your most watched film?
I'm not a Fight Club, yeah.
Fight Club?
Yeah, it is Fight Club, it must be.
Is that also your favourite film, would you say?
Or
have you not picked a favourite?
Yeah, I think it might be. I don't. The only other.
That's when you normally claim to be your favourite.
Yeah, when
that's
asked.
The stock answer.
Yeah,
it's a good choice. Very good
it's
choice.
a strong one. I watched it maybe a few months ago. Oh, I watched it when it came on Netflix. That was it. Because I do have it on. I've got 2 copies of DVD. I don't know why. But yeah, I went through a phase where I watched it about 3 or 4 times a week. just
3 or 4 times a week.
Yeah, you know, just.
Wow.
It's great.
Sounds like you might have had a dark chapter in your life.
Yeah. You must know that film inside out.
I do, yeah. I've also seen like the director's commentary of it, like maybe 3 or 4 times. That's really interesting.
Have you ever dreamt it? I once dreamt a film. I once fell asleep watching Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones.
Easily done.
And at the time, I knew it so well that I just dreamt the rest of the film. Really weird.
How did you know you were asleep?
Because I was facing the wrong way. I wasn't looking at the telly at this point. I fell asleep just looking at the couch and just fell asleep.
Okay.
And carried on watching the film, seemingly.
That sounds like quite a pleasant way to watch that film.
Yeah.
What, not watching it?
Yeah, just comatose. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I like to live my life. I'm going to go for a 3 in this. And that's I should definitely watch it again because I think there's things to take away. But how often I'll watch it after that, I think will be limited. And it's a couple of hours long as well, isn't it?
It's an hour 55.
Yeah.
That's not £2.
Yeah, but still not a nice, concise 85.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so 3. Small screen score. Harry.
Now, I thought it was very nice, but I would have loved to have seen this in the cinema.
Yeah.
So I don't really feel I can rank this that highly for a small screen score. What did I put there? I think I'll put a 3.
Okay.
Because it did still look great, but my TV's decent enough, so I can still appreciate it. But if somebody were to watch it on their phone, on a train, it's not going to hold up, is it?
That's
Should never do that.
Well, I think you should never do that. You're a monster if you do.
I did once watch for the podcast because I just had no other time. I was forced to watch 2001: A Space Odyssey on my laptop on a screen, which has got to be the most pointless, worst way to watch that.
It's not so bad. I thought you were going to say on that iPhone
phone.
there.
iPhone, that might have been worse, but
Oh dear.
didn't really get the best of it.
Like put it next to your face, so it's like IMAX.
But yeah, as with 2001: A Space Odyssey, this film relies so heavily on its visual effects. I think that you're not going to get quite a lot out of it if you were to watch it on a phone or on a bad TV. If I could pay to see this in a cinema, I absolutely would. It would be great. I'm quite sad that it never had a cinema release.
John?
Yeah, I had the same thought. It's interesting that this film, because it was very much made for the cinema, and they were very disappointed with the way it turned out. I believe it was.
You mean the way it wasn't released for the cinema?
Yeah, the people who made it, the director Alex Garland and the producers, it was very much made as a cinematic experience. But because I think the studio didn't have any faith in it because it was so complicated.
A poor test screening.
Yeah, it tested poorly with the audiences because people are idiots, the public are idiots. But it was very much there was a sense that there's not. It's just throwing good money after bad to put this in the cinema. So it got buried onto Netflix, unfortunately. Not that Netflix is a bad thing. Obviously, Netflix is a fabulous venue, but I do think that the visuals of this film I would love to see on the big screen. It'd be interesting to see.
I mean, getting put straight to Netflix is the modern day equivalent of straight to DVD, straight to video.
I think that's not so true.
No,
because I think there's films that are bought out by Netflix that they want, because Netflix it's got such a massive viewership that things that wouldn't get any traction in the cinema typically. Put them on Netflix. Things like the film set in West Africa that we had.
Beast of No Nation.
Yeah, Beast of No Nation. Things like that where Netflix bought it out and it got a far bigger
reach
because it was on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
So I think things like that and indie films work there, and I think documentaries work really well on Netflix as well as the first outing.
It's going to keep happening more often.
Yeah.
Because it's you can reach a global audience in one night, and you're getting directly into people's homes and things. It's
so some directors actually want it because then they can
reach
more people.
a much bigger audience.
Yeah, straight away.
You know what I would really like? Actually, I'm going to do a little business pitch here. I would like a Netflix cinema. So I don't know how this would work financially, but a cinema you could pay to watch something that's on Netflix on a cinema screen.
But that could be, you could just do that because a lot of the shops on Oxford Street or Oxford Circus or in the centre of London, they make no money, but it's just there as a flagship thing.
Sure, yeah.
So Netflix could quite happily have like a small cinema. There's that, no, not the Odeon and Panton Street because I like that cinema because it does good stuff independent wise, but there's that, there's some odd little cinemas in Soho way which can't be doing that much business. And that could be a good like Netflix
so
cinema.
basically they release the films on Netflix and then say every Wednesday they'd put like Netflix on the big screen so you could go and see it.
Well, no, just be Netflix.
Just the Netflix cinema.
Yeah.
And it would have. So you could watch anything like The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt.
I was just thinking that. Yeah, I just wanted that in full.
But no, you've made good point there about Netflix not being straight to DVD. So I retract my comments, and I feel I've learned something.
Chastened.
It's not like some things are buried there. That
Bright.
What?
The Will Smith thing.
Brides?
Bright.
Oh, Bright, yeah. The Will Smith one. That was just shit. From all accounts, I've not seen it.
No, I haven't seen it.
I think Cloverfield Paradox is proper buried there from all accounts. This Annihilation.
But still, a lot of people watch that though.
Yeah,
this is the thing.
I think Annihilation was probably one of the highest rated things that people like. Well, what's this on Netflix for? Straight away. Sorry, John. What was your?
Oh, mine was 3.
3.
Helen. Scoring low on small screens.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also going to go for a 3. I would have paid to go and see this at the cinema. I think I would have enjoyed the experience as well. But it is on Netflix, and it's quite nice to have a new release film on there. I think it's interesting, and I kind of hope that maybe they do it more with films that maybe would have had a limited release, or I just kind of like this idea that everyone can go and watch it on at 8 o'clock on a particular day when it's released online or something.
I'm going to go higher because I don't think I would definitely have gone to see it in the cinema, but I
think
still
the smaller the better.
The ones when you go to Empire Leicester Square, when you walk up the stairs into the or down the stairs into the catacombs, and you end up with a 10-seater screen the size of that. I would have been disappointed to pay for that actually, but yeah, I generally don't think the visuals were that amazing and outstanding. So I think it works okay. Better than you guys on a small screen, so I'm going to go 3.8. I reckon
3.8.
Engagement score, Harry.
4.7, I think. I wasn't engaged instantly. I think the moment that I suddenly got engaged was where was it Tessa Thompson gets snatched by the alligator?
Yeah.
That was the moment of just like, whoa, bit of shock and something's happening.
Okay.
Because before then, nothing was really happening. It was just, it was set up.
Apart from Oscar Isaac's coughing up blood, that was quite a moment.
I guess, yeah. But well, I mean, at that point, I wasn't really invested.
Okay.
Like I wasn't sold from the first moment.
Sure.
Tessa Thompson gets eaten by the croc or grabbed by the croc like an hour into the movie, so that's a high score for half a movie you found actively unengaging.
Sure. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
but
so at the start of the movie is low, but this second half is like off the scale.
Yeah, and it pays off. I think it built it up. So as an average, 4.7.
Okay.
John,
I'm going to say 3.9 because I did think it definitely had its ups and downs. I agree that the start was quite slow. It took a while, not as long as you, but it took a while for me to kind of get into it. I think for me it probably was when Oscar Isaacs had his fit and was coughing up blood. I was like, well, what's this?
You're all putting the S back on his name.
Sorry, Oscar Isaac. And then, towards the end, I did find my mind was wandering slightly in certain places, just as it was building up to conclusion. Again, knowing now how it ends and what story it's telling, I might find it more engaging on a second viewing because I'll be understanding where it's all building towards, whereas because it doesn't tell you too much about what's actually happening until the very end, even then it's not clear. It does kind of maybe, there were times when I just kind of slightly tuned out. So.
Sorry,
Helen.
just sneezed. It's kind of tricky. I was really, I was sold on it from kind of the start, just because I just wanted to know where it was going to go and really interested to see what was going to happen with it. But it does take a bit of a while to get going. And then when it does get going, everything does kind of happen quite fast paced. So maybe they could have made that a little bit slower and brought in a bit more action a bit sooner. It would even the pace out a bit. It does feel a little bit rushed as you get towards the end.
Yeah.
In terms of engagement, I'm going to do 4.5.
I'm going to go for 3.9 with John. I think I'm the opposite of you guys. I actually was more engaged at the start than I was towards the end, and I think the kind of CGI aspects took me out of it. And I don't think it's a CGI thing specifically. I think it's once you see what they're looking at kind of aspects took me out of it, because I like the build up, but like the kind of what the hell is this shimmer thing that they're going into, like the fact that you don't know what's going on with Oscar Isaacs, and that kind of builds you in. But then once you actually see the alligator, then you kind of lose that illusion that you've put in your own brain. And I think perhaps the CGI thing for me is that there's no way it's going to compare with what I've got in my mind as to what's actually going on in the shimmer. So that's when the disconnect comes. So 3.9. So yeah, 3.9, and that gives an overall score of 4.04.
Yes, that's pretty strong.
Got into the 4 mark.
Got into the 4.
It's a good score.
Well done. So let's go to the Twitter, where we ask people before we record a film, we say we're reviewing Annihilation with Beyond the Box Set in this case. Have you seen it? We'd love to hear your thoughts and include them on our podcast, Flixwatcher. If so, give us your 5-star rating, a short review, and retweet. So we had a few responses from this. So Harry, do you want to take the first one from Death by Film? So
Death by Film said 3 stars. A lot to like in this movie, but there are quite a few things I couldn't get past, including the ending, and it's not because it's weird. I like that part of it. I also didn't think the visuals are as good as everyone says.
John, do you want to take the second one?
Sure. So, hey, down in front at HDIF_podcast said, really enjoyed Annihilation. Definitely not a perfect movie with some things that didn't fall into place. But hey, it's sci-fi. If you don't have to use your own imagination to fill in some of the blanks, they're doing it wrong. 4 stars.
Nice.
Yeah.
Helen, do you want to take the last one?
Yeah, so the last one is I want you to watch this. And yeah, I'm not going to read their thing out because you can probably work out what that is. We just did Annihilation recently. It's both incredibly depressing and unsettling and absolutely gorgeous all at once. Definitely 5 stars.
Cool. Well, thanks, guys, for the Twitter sphere for your responses. And I think it kind of tallies with what our responses
What we've said, yeah.
I didn't find the film that depressing, really.
Depressing's not the word I'd use.
Yeah.
Like, it's not positive. It's not a happy film.
Yeah, it's kind of moody, I would say.
Yeah.
Like a teenager.
Yes, it's a moody teenager.
Moody Groot. Right, guys, let us know where we can find you online and who you are, just as a reminder.
We are Beyond the Box Set. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play. I don't normally do this bit. Just search Beyond the Box Set on all of those.
Or go to beyondtheboxset.com, our website.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That
That thing you built.
Yep, that thing I built.
And there will be there in the show notes as well, guys. So
Fantastic.
do just scroll down a bit further, a bit more, and click. In fact, maybe we'll put you guys at the top this time.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Honoured, yeah.
Maybe. We'll see.
No promises.
Maybe.
Okay, well, thanks for coming on, guys.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for having us.
No worries.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Enjoy.
Well, thanks, guys, for listening to Flixwatcher podcast. Please do come and find us online. We're on Twitter at FlixWatcherPod. Come and visit our website, flixwatcher.tv. Thank you so much to our fantastic editor, Brendan Russell, for his fantastic editing skills, of course, and to Mighty People for the tunes you can hear right now.